Okay, so this probably looks really bad right now. I'm just gonna hope it doesn't because I recorded like 18 minutes of footage and I gotta do it all over again. Alright, hello. It is I, Shimada, Shim, other names you'd like to call me that, aren't very rude. Fuck it, we already got it open. So today and from this point on periodically, I am going to talk about the game that I'm currently making for my college class. And I might even work on it even after that because I've grown to realize that as frustrating as coding and programming is, it's honestly a little fun looking up stuff and just trying to work my brain through this process. I've grown to realize I'm kind of, big fan of math. Anyways, moving on to what we're really going to talk about here. I'm making a game for a college class. It is our final project. We had two choices between a twin stick shooter and a endless runner. I have opted to make a twin stick shooter, which is I guess also a top down shooter. You use WASD to move around, Q and E for other purposes. You use the mouse to look in a certain direction, and left click to shoot, which is very basic things you've had down so far. I will get this program up. Okay. Like I said earlier, it's probably looks like shit, but as you can see, I am moving. My little cannon for testing here is my tank, we'll say. It's facing the mouse cursor. You guys probably can't see it all too well. Too bad. We can shoot. Probably hear me clicking. You probably see the 5 FPS projectiles coming out. But rest assured, it is working fine for my eyes. We have it all working good. For this video, I wanted to just go over just pretty much a summary, actually, of just what I have so far. Going into the future, though, I'm likely going to make videos focused on things that I've accomplished that I think are, pretty big in my eyes. But honestly, everything is a big accomplishment to me. So, to start, this is our main tab for the game. This is where, the main magic is happening. Got array list, as you can see, or we'll just call them list for bullets and enemies. We do not have enemies programmed yet. We've got two sad variables who are, very lonely here. We're not going to worry about enemies because those are a headache, and we'll just do that, another time. Bullets, we do have bullets programmed, and we'll go over that shortly. These lists contain enemies and bullets, so that way I can spawn, two of the same bullet type, right? I can spawn two different bullets that follow these different things, put them into a list, and keep track of how many bullets there are within my game. And probably do other stuff with it that I don't know about. Float weapon, swap, melee type, gun type, we'll go over those, but as you can read, swap between both weapons, melee weapon, gun weapons, booleans. These are all for when we're pressing certain keys, Q, E, W, A, S, D, space, which we might not use anymore, so I can probably delete that at some point, but we'll keep it there, just so I don't have to retype it. Left mouse pressed, right mouse pressed. These refer to the left mouse and right mouse a previous frame ago, which helps for one frame inputs, which means, when you press left click once, you don't, come out with like a fully automatic burst, whatever kind of gun. You shoot out one projectile for one frame. That's how we, do that. I'm not really going to explain it because I have to really draw it out, but just trust me when I say it works. The window size, player, this just spawns in the player once, because the way it's set up works pretty much as soon as you hit run. So, sets our size window, and it spawns the player once because we don't want like 5 players on screen. That's disgusting. Background, this just makes the background of the window just gray. Ignore these. Ignore this. Although this, one left mouse press, previous frame of left mouse, spawns in the one bullet. Works pretty well. This says player.x, player.y. We'll go over that shortly. Player to update melee type, gun type. This basically, actually we'll go over that. This controls how many bullets are on screen. Okay. This constantly updates, we'll have to go over that. This makes sure that when the boolean is dead is equal to true, it removes the bullet from that list we were talking about earlier of bullets. So that way, that's for making sure we don't have like 5,000 bullets off screen that are just lagging like your, CPU or some shit. Players that draw, this just draws the player on screen. not constantly, but keeps them on screen and, allows you to move around and stuff like that. Because if you didn't draw the player, you couldn't see yourself. This just draws bullets, so we can see the bullets. Like I said, this is just for making sure, or for calculating the mouse input from the last frame. Yes. Sorry, I'm a little tired. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm out of it. This just makes sure that when this is pressed, key codes refer to the different keys on your keyboard. So you can't just put if a key pressed. You have to do if the key code equals this number, then you can have a separate Boolean that corresponds to that, or not number. Well, it can be number or letter or symbol. Doesn't really matter. Corresponds to that, makes that true. And same for making it false when you let go of the key. Mouse press, same deal, only they don't have key codes. They're special, and they actually have a mouse button function in this. So I guess they're cool. True, false when released, so on. Bullets. Actually, we'll go over player first. Right now, I'm going to go over the hurdles I'm doing within my summary. Like I said, previous point on, we're going to talk about new mechanics. So this video might be a little longer. If you're still here, I appreciate it. If not, that's okay too. I'm kind of doing this for me and then just for others who happen to see it. So we have our variables xy, x2, y2, which refers to two different player objects that, kind of coincide and act as one. A refers to an angle, MT refers to melee type, GT refers to gun type that we receive from the main tab. But like I said, we're not really going to talk about that except in a future video, so we can ignore that for now. Sorry, I scratched my head. I'm sorry, p vector velocity. Do p vector. Sorry, I'm a little tired. So we have our x and y equals 400, or x equals 400, y equals 300, x2 equals negative 15, y2 equals negative 15. These refer to the initial positions of everything on screen, of the player objects, I'm sorry. So this is the width and the height of the size window, which width referring to how wide, horizontally the window is, and 300 being how high that is. That's just as you'll notice, the initial window size just cut in half to make sure that the player spawns in the middle of the screen. And this refers to the middle of the yellow square you saw earlier, which is where I'll just show you guys, refers to, the inside of this. So negative 15 refers to the red rectangle, 400, 300 refers to the yellow rectangle, as you can see, to the middle of the screen, and this thing is in the middle of the yellow square. Cool. Like I said, we'll ignore these for now. These keys, A, D, W, S, refer to it says velocity, the direction and how much is applied to the object. So initially when our instructor gave us this template, because everything within this project isn't necessarily my own work, it was literally made in class by my instructor, and then he gave us a file to download. I've tweaked a lot of the project so far, but a lot of this main stuff is pretty much from, him. I'm just adding on to it to make my cool game. But, thank God he gave us this, because I would have been completely lost. Velocity equals 5. So you can really change that value to anything, and your player will move faster or slower, and so on. And you'll notice it has a little bit of easing in. I don't think the capture can quite capture that because it's just, the FPS is just not high enough. But there's easing in, and that's calculated by this 0.85 times velocity of the x and y. And then, the x is added, the x has a velocity added to it for velocity x, and that's how you move the player around. You're adding to the player's initial position right here by velocity. That's also multiplied by this to kind of add that easing in factor. I hope that makes sense. Not very good at explaining things, but we're trying. As written up here by me, um, these are barriers. So, like I said earlier, width refers to, in this case, width is referring to the size window that the game takes place in. Oh my god! Sorry about that. Headphone died. Regardless, just want to make sure it's connected again. Hopefully, my audio isn't really bad. Um, as I was saying, width refers to the size window. The X, how wide it is. Height refers to how high it is. These are barriers to make sure. So I will try and show you once again. Hopefully, the FPS can show me getting stuck in the corner. I can't go off screen. I'm stuck, which is good. We want that. We don't want the player to go off screen because then the player won't be able to get back on screen. Well, unless they, remember which way they went up. They can just come back down or come to the right, left, up, so on. So yeah, that keeps us on screen. Make sure you don't get lost. Uh, Now here under the void draw, this is where we're drawing everything. The actual player themselves. So, and this is where we're going to run to our obstacle. My first obstacle. Initially, when I started this project, like I said, I wanted the player to face the mouse cursor and shoot in that direction. But first step, we don't want to get, too ahead of ourselves. Let's just make the player face the mouse direction, right? Because initially, you didn't have this red rectangle here. I added that myself with the help of nice people on Discord. We just had this yellow rectangle, and we can only shoot up in one direction, like this. Just pretend I'm shooting vertically up. That's all we could do in our game, and that's cool. Don't get me wrong. I just want more than that. Um, so yeah, I had to think of a way, right? How can I get this rectangle to look at the mouse, or this square? I'm sorry. Pretend the rectangle isn't there. How can we get this yellow square to look at the mouse all the time? And I kind of got something going for myself, but the thing is if I could get it to look at the mouse, right? If I pressed up, it would, move towards the mouse if I hit that W key. And that's not what I necessarily want. I don't really want a car. I kind of want, the W key to still move me up, even if I'm looking at it from right here. And then the D key, if I change my whole orientation, would, make me maybe go down here or something crazy like that. And so looking towards the mouse with just that yellow square just wasn't really good enough because I've ruined the whole orientation and the player just could not really move properly. It's confusing, feels horrendous. We don't want that. So at a good 2:30 a.m. a couple nights ago, I think, okay, I know in some games, the player can turn and move up, hitting that W key and, keep going up. And I've even seen some games where, if it's a top-down shooter, you might be able to see the player's feet stick out of them as they're moving, in any direction, regardless of how, which way they're facing. The legs might not make sense, but they're still able to do them, right? So then it kind of hit me. What if I do a sort of, tank kind of, you know, not mechanic, I don't want to sort of style of movement, pardon me. Um, the player, they can move sort of like tanks do in real life. Tanks, they can move in any which direction and face a different direction. In real life, it's maybe not the best thing to do. Of course, you're in war. You probably want to look at the enemy. But if you wanted to turn around backwards and move forwards, you can do that in a tank. Or just like in any video game that you would see, Battlefield, for example. Um, so that just kind of hit me as a little brain blast. It was 2:30 though. I was in bed, so I couldn't get out. I mean, I could have, but I was too tired to. My body wouldn't let me. And so, working on that, come up with this complex, not really, well, I'm sure the math is complex. It's a tan 2. Don't know what that is. But I do know that I can get that rectangle that I have, the red rectangle, the face towards the mouse, consistently all the time. However, when I first did it, and this is where the Discord for my class comes in, they kind of helped me out. A guy kind of pointed out something a little obvious, which kind of made me feel silly, but I do appreciate him for doing that because he kind of gave me the answer without really, giving me the answer. And yeah, as soon as he said it, I was kind of like, oh, yeah, that actually makes sense. And so it worked out. Um, thing is with rotation, if I, just made it so it rotated by this angle A we have, right? You know, the screen would like go crazy. The player objects moving all over the screen. We don't want that. So with processing, when you want to rotate an object within its own origin, you want a rectangle to spin without, affecting the whole universe around it and just itself. You kind of have to translate the origin point, which is typically processing at this top left window, which is weird, right? You'd think it'd be like down here or something, but it's up here. You have to translate, which means to move that origin into the center of itself. That way, as you can see, you can get a good rotation in without, moving this yellow rectangle, off screen or something crazy like that. Oh my god, I need water. um, so yeah, hurdle I had, made it past it with the Discord. Really appreciate those guys. This is pretty much the same thing with different colors because I'm working on different guns that shoot different bullets, but like I said, it's for another day. Onto the bullets. Bullets were, the second hurdle and easily way worse than the first hurdle. It's one thing to get a thing to look in a certain direction, and it's another to get something to shoot in that direction and die after some point. And this is where P vectors come in. And P vectors, I promise you, are so amazing. I actually went to Reddit for this one because I didn't want to back the Discord with my own questions, which, you're probably thinking, why not just do it? They're there to help you. It's a pride thing. I don't know. I'm nervous. I'm shy. So I went to Reddit and they're like, just look up P vectors. I got everything you need. They didn't even give me a push in the right direction. So I was like, all right, well, screw you guys. But I take that back now, of course, because I learned some things and kind of came up with the solution on my own. So with the bullet, I'm going to kind of walk you through what someone kind of tried to walk me through on Reddit just for different steps. I need the bullet to spawn somewhere, which we have established here. These two float variables refer to B's, player.x, player.y, which means the player's x and y position. So the bullet will spawn on the player. That's a P vector. That's a direction that I've calculated. So we know where the bullet's going to spawn at. We need to know where the bullet needs to go, which is the mouse position, another P vector that I've created. And I've calculated the mouse x, the mouse y. Now, we need to calculate the difference between those things so we can create a force that pushes it into that direction. And here we have a literal force, another P vector, which is equal to another P vector that subtracts the mouse position from the y position. When you have to look up a video, I can't really quite explain it because I don't have the capacity to right now. But just know that doing this, subtracting these two vectors, will give me a new vector that is able to take me from one position to the other position. And then we have velocity equals 15, which is how fast we're going to get from those positions to the other positions. Except with this, I've made it so that way you don't the bullet doesn't disappear as soon as it gets to the mouse. It goes beyond that. Very helpful thing, which is what velocity does. It'll continuously add 15 to that position, 15, 15, 15, and move on from it. However, without velocity, what you end up getting with just this raw code of this and just adding force to the position is you get the bullet moving at light speed if the mouse is really far away, and really slow if the mouse is really close to the tank I've made. So this is where these other snippets of code come in. Force, actually ignore distance, so just this part. Force.normalize. This takes what I've calculated with force, right, and it makes it equal 1, which doesn't really make sense, but it equals 1. And this is why we need velocity, because if it's 1, right, the bullet shoots really, really slow. Like take forever slow. Not really a bullet at that point slow. So we just have to multiply that by velocity, and then we get pretty smooth looking bullet, which you can't really see as well, I imagine, but it's pretty good. Maybe a little on the slow side for a bullet, but it works when we're talking about game development. Oh no, take that back. We do need distance. I'm tired. Uh, so distance is an actual regular number. Thankfully, with p-vectors, you can calculate the magnitude of a p-vector and just make that into a regular solid number. And so I've just made it that when the bullet distance gets greater than 1,000, the bullet is dead equals true, which is a variable. Now, that doesn't mean when is dead equals true, the bullet dies. That's not the case. It just makes this variable true, which, if we refer back to this main tab, which constantly updates what's going on with the bullet. You know, if the bullet is dead, it removes it from the list of bullets. Oh my god. Sorry, my headset died again. But we're almost done anyways. It removes it from this list of bullets, which makes sure that I don't have I think I talked about this earlier. I don't really remember. But, it makes sure I don't have 5,000 bullets, off screen. The player can't see, and that will never touch anything. Make sure those bullets are get deleted. Your computer runs perfectly fine. I think I've said enemy, nothing here. Very lonely. Hitbox, I wanted to work on this, but then I was like, I should probably not work on that. You can kind of say I had some progress into it, but we're gonna leave it alone. So yeah, I think that about concludes it for this video. I have nothing I really want to talk about. I kind of want to go to sleep. This is my second recording, so I kind of speed ran through it. So it's probably not going to look very good, but who knows? I'll look back on it fondly years from now, and I'll probably laugh. So who knows? Until next time, thanks for watching. If you did watching and you somehow got all the way to this point, yeah, I appreciate it. Look forward to more videos from now. Yeah, see ya.